Cheers for doing this anyway. I appreciate you getting in touch.
Oh mate, this is. I mean, I'm living the dream here. Honestly, you've no idea. Like, this is absolutely fantastic. This is right in my wheelhouse. This. So, thank you for starting this podcast, mate. Because yeah, you must be living the dream.
No, it's been good. Yeah, this is really my period of music, probably similar to you. So it's been good to revisit. Should probably explain that basically, yeah, we had an interaction on Twitter because you kind of went viral with your observation of I forgot his name, the guy from Vampire Weekend at the Luton game
Yeah,
at the weekend.
as,
Ezra, is it?
as yeah, Ezra Koenig was at Kenilworth Kenilworth Road watching Luton Town. I don't know if he's a fan of the Hatters, but yeah, that was. But well, the Peter Drury was fixated on Harry Styles being there, and I was like, yeah, but Ezra Koenig from Vampire, and obviously he's not going to be like. And just by the way, guys, for any indie fans out there, but yeah, I noticed that and was like, why? I just thought, oh, nothing will come of it. And yeah, it's sort of and then I think he's got a podcast. I don't have Apple Podcasts, but he's got one, and the thumbnail was a photo of him at the game, so I might have to listen to that
Right.
and see why I was there. But those two albums, well, I like Modern Vampires in the City, but those Contra and the debut are just flawless, really, in my opinion. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. Well, weirdly, they popped up on my Instagram today because I didn't follow them, but I think they've got new music coming out, which sounds
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah, I'd
So I
love to
look
see
forward
that.
to that. So are you a comedian? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, are we recording now? Are we live?
Yeah, it's all
Oh,
going in,
lovely
mate.
stuff. No, no, yeah. So, I mean, mate, you've gotten, the Jarmans, guitarist from the Future Heads, Ryan Needham from Yard Act. I was listening to that one today. You've got a high caliber of guest, and then there's me, uh, sort of fledgling, semi-ish professional comedian and podcaster myself. So I do apologise if I've brought if I've brought the sort of the quality down. But yeah, I'm sort of part. Well, yeah, sort of on the stand up comedy scene. I was to return from Newcastle last night, so yeah, it was a big one from where I live.
Okay, whereabouts are you based?
So I'm from the Wirral, but I live in Wrexham at the minute.
Oh, wow, okay, right.
Yeah.
I've been a few times. I do some part-time football work, so I've been there a few times over the last few years. Because I'm
On
up
the
in
Wirral side.
Manchester. No, well, both to be fair, but
Oh, cool.
Wrexham as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
mad. What's going on at the minute? It's crazy.
yeah. I just started watching the Sunderland documentary as well, but I need to catch up on the Wrexham one.
The Sunderland one is a thing to behold, isn't it?
Yeah.
The guy who's like, this music needs to be pumping. Like, mate, we haven't got a PA system. It's the guy from Frank in the Heartstrings, isn't it? He was like the PA announcer.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I proper gobsmacked. I was like, man, you did what's the song? Waiting outside for you to come out tonight. Oh, what's that? Off the debut, Hunger. That's it. Absolute tune.
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
was quite shocked to see. Sorry, I'm going off loads of different
No, it's
tangents.
fine, yeah.
But yeah, stand up well, yeah, semi-professional stand-up comedian. Let's go with that.
Excellent. So, let's take it back a bit. Like, how old are you, out of interest?
So I'm 26.
Oh, right, okay. It's quite young for this period of music then.
Yeah, so I was trying to explain why. I was trying to think of ways to explain why I'm obsessed with this time period, because, like, definitively, I did grow up in this era, but just a bit too young. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday where one of the guys was saying that his reference points are a bit older, but he spent a lot of time liking cultural interests from a generation before, and I think that's what, like, I've done here. So, like, I was alive for it, but I think I'm just a bit too young to, like, fully be like, like I always say to my mates, like, my dream time machine would to be sort of like 2005, or be 16, 17, 18, and just, like you yourself, just this experience that whole sort of mid-noughties indie boom. So yeah, like, I'm aware of a lot of it. Like, I remember Take Me Out coming out, and I remember like
not with
loads
Paddy
of
McGuinness, no.
yeah. Yeah. Oh
Nice.
mate, he was great. He was great. I didn't. Yeah, I think he joined Alex and Kronos live. Paddy McGuinness for a couple of gigs. And what else? Oh, and I remember sort of like the Hives being it and the Strokes, but it was all like it was all kind. I still wasn't old enough to sort of form and or realize what was happening, but I do remember that at the time. And then I remember the video for "Do You Want To" by Franz Ferdinand coming out in 2005. So I was at Legoland and I was dancing around the hotel room to that. And then that whole era of the noughties for me just seems like I was saying to my fiance, like on the one hand, there is quite an invasive element, I think, like especially from America. There's all that, like I remember watching Cribs and Pimp My Ride, and you are invited into. You felt like you kind of there's a lot of voyeurism, I think, sort of celebrity wise. But in terms of music, it was just yeah, it was exploding everywhere, and even like here, like the cultural impact it had, like the Mighty Boosh was massive. Never mind the Buzzcocks, obviously, and Big Brother at that point. So yeah, it was like I do remember vividly like certain elements of like, oh, this is a proper. But I just wish I was a little bit older so I could fully like go to Barfly or somewhere or somewhere like that.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I always think that. I wish I was slightly older because you'd like to be say 18 when the Strokes came out or something, where I was more like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
So I'm always envious of people that kind of saw that first tour or like were on that first wave of everything.
I think in doing that I've kind of missed the bit as well. So like I'd say up to maybe I left school in 2015, and I'd say up until maybe 2013 is when the kind of I don't know if you could put a stamp on saying that's where the indie period kind of maybe ended or evolved, but like there's a lot of bands I've liked since then. Like I've not just stopped listening to music. Like I love Metronomy, love Yard Act as a couple of examples, but yeah, it kind of felt like those bands that were really popular in the mid noughties have kind of evolved. Like Arctic Monkeys is probably a good example, like with Suck It and See. Um, I think the Foals released Inhaler 2013. So like it felt like I was kind of at the tail end of that, but there was still a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose I've not mentioned the tweet that you actually sent to me in terms of
Yeah.
coming on the pod. You professed your love for the Bravery, which
there,
interested me because it's not being mentioned too much on the podcast. So yeah,
it,
what's that about?
so yeah, the whole reason I'm here, the whole reason I've been put on planet Earth, they are my favorite band of all time. Definitely, I think, yeah. Um, where did we begin? So I when me so me and my mum moved to New Zealand, and my mum was a big Killers fan, and we'll get onto this in a minute because there was a bit of a rivalry supposedly between the two of them. And we used to listen to a lot of music channels on the TV, and I remember very clearly seeing the video for An Honest Mistake, which if anyone hasn't seen, is kind of like a Rube Goldberg machine of like different things going on. It's amazing. And I was completely transformed. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I love this. Even though I was like 8, I was like, oh, I really like this. And it sounded a little bit like Blue Monday at the time. A lot of people, that's New Order, new U2 influence to them. And then when we moved back, kind of like didn't acknowledge it. And then there's a film called Never Back Down, which is kind of like the Karate Kid, but for MMA. And me and my mate were obsessed with that film, and the Bravery featured quite heavily on the soundtrack. And then it was a mixture of those two things, and I was like, oh my God, as much as my music taste at that point was predominantly noughties indie, I was like, oh yes, the Bravery around at that time. And then I just listened to everything. I think they're a bit of a difficult band to. I don't know really. Like the second album, which I'm holding up now. Do you have them? Do you put this on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. That's for the viewers. There's the Sun and the Moon there, second album.
Yes.
Apparently, this was never released in the UK
All right.
because they had a fallout with the record company. And I believe the third album, Stir the Blood, wasn't released in the UK either. But I don't know where I got this from CX for £3. So the only one I don't own on CD. So yeah, and then just like I just think like lyrically, I've never felt as sort of understood or related to through Sam's lyrics. Just yeah, they just completely like blew me away, and I think they're great. And then the one downside is, again, like you said, because I'm a bit younger, I kind of missed out on seeing them live. That's the one thing I need to tick off. And they reformed 3 years ago, over lockdown. For those who don't know, I messaged you and said, "Oh, if you just put my Twitter handle in and the Bravery over lockdown," because I had a lot of time on my hands, I just was sort of tweet them every day and be like, "Hey guys, if you're thinking about reforming, my mum said it's cool to play in the backyard. She can provide drinks and stuff as long as you're done by 11. That's sound." And then it would be like, "Hey guys, just got off the phone with the local council. They're willing to hire out the village hall. I can put a spread on, but it might set you back a couple of pounds," like stuff like that. Just sort of really inane stuff. And then like I do things like I think Keir Starmer launched a manifesto where he's promising loads of things, and I put like in subtitles, "I promise that the Bravery will reform." When the King's speech this year for Christmas Day, I put the same thing, like the Bravery will play in the UK. They haven't replied to me. I'm surprised they haven't blocked me either, which I was expecting. But they did reform
I
in
didn't know that.
2021. So I'm not saying I had an influence on them, but I also I follow the bass player Mike and the
Yeah, I was
keyboard.
gonna say I did have a brief interaction with Mike, but because he was gonna come on, but then he was like, "I'm up for talking about everything but the Bravery." I was like, "Well, kind of defeats the point."
Oh no! See, that's yeah. Like I do like Mike, and he does a lot of musical. But he's got a lot on, like music wise, and he does his art as well. So, but he still does playing. He's still a part of the band. So that is a bit
Okay,
weird.
it might be different now. That was maybe in beginning of lockdown. Maybe I don't know.
I message him on Instagram, just like I'm a huge fan, etc. Pretty much what I'm doing to you now, just like gushing about them. And he said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I went, "Oh, like I sort of work, sort of I have a job, but I also do comedy in the evenings." And he went, "Oh, cool. Send me a video." Yeah.
Right.
I was like, "Oh God, it's like this. It all hinges on this." And I sent him a video, and I immediately like the sort of I don't know reference points and stuff might be a bit obviously very different to America as they are to UK. I sent them the video, and then he just put like, "Keep it going, man." I was like, "Oh no,
Well,
no,
I'd take that. Sorry.
yeah, keep it going, man." Might hinder 2021.
I might reach out again, see if he's more up for it. So what happened with the reunion then? Was it the original lineup?
I believe so, although I don't think Michael Zacharin played the live shows on guitar. I think they got someone else. It definitely didn't look like him. But through my forensic research, um, there was a picture of a lockdown, I think, from Mike, where it was like work. I forgot what the caption was, but it was like Sam, Michael, and him, like the three of them with a photo. I was like, "Oh, something's happening here," but yeah, it doesn't seem like he's in it. But it still says on Wikipedia he is. But then they reformed in 2021. I subscribed to the mailing list and I've subscribed to the website. They haven't updated the web, or they've updated the website, but there isn't a website. There's nothing on there. They've done 2 gigs. They did one in Mexico and one in Las Vegas. But I read a gig report from the one in Las Vegas, and he said we will be back and there will be a new album. So I've got that to sort of look forward to and hold on to, really.
Okay. When was that?
I think it was Just Like Heaven.
What, last year or something?
Yeah, last year in Las Vegas. It was kind of like a sort of it made me feel quite a bit older. It was like sort of a lot of reunions of bands that
Yeah.
we'd listened to, and I was
Does
like, "Oh,
seem
I'd
to
love
be a
to."
big thing now, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, which I kind of criticized for bands who I probably didn't like, was too old to listen to, but now I'm like, oh, I get to see Yeah Yeah Yeahs and the Pigeon Detectives. This is amazing. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the future they've got some I tweeted them last month or something. I was like, if you need someone to warm up for you, if you need like a hype man, but I don't. I think they'd be like, mate, just go away. But I would love to meet them. Genuinely, I'd love to like, I don't know, just interview them or something. I think it'd be amazing. Yeah. So fingers crossed. In the future, they're gonna release some stuff.
Yeah, yes. So they've got. I should have listened to the albums today, really. But is it 3 albums they've got then?
3 albums. Well, yeah, 3 albums. Self-titled 2005, Sun and the Moon 2007, and then Stir the Blood 2009.
Okay.
The what was I going to say? The second album, Sun and the Moon, they re-recorded and then did one side that was normal, and then the second side was all the same songs, but then performed acoustically, which I don't think you can get a hot. This is the problem. Like, sort of, Spotify is a bit of a stickler with them. I don't know, because of the second album. So the first 2 albums are on Spotify. The third isn't. And I sort of had to pay for that
All right.
on a different like streaming service. But yeah, 3 albums, and then I think they did a live one as well, live at the Wilton Theatre. But yeah, not a bad run, to be fair. Sort of 3 albums in 4 years.
Right.
I think it. Yeah, I was thinking about this because at that point, especially mid noughties, a lot of bands were. I think Arctic Monkeys did 06 or 05, 07, and then 09. I think they did the same. So it wasn't too far from keeping in what a couple of other bands were doing. I remember. Do you like Death from Above 1979?
I know of them. I only know like the big songs there, really.
They released an album in 2004, I think, and then didn't release one until like a decade later. Which, yeah, so a lot of bands at that time were kind of just pumping stuff out. But I don't think that's a bad run. 3 albums in 4 years. Yeah, played Glastonbury. There's an infamous story of Mike Hindert performing naked because it was really hot,
All right.
and it appears in like a documentary or something. Yeah, but the main what people, I don't know if this was kind of like a media led thing, but it kind of felt like they were the sort of antidote to the Killers, or were kind of seen to be like the Blur to the Killers' Oasis, or something like, which I don't think is true. There's an article where Brandon Flowers comes out and says they're only a band because we're a band. And I was a bit taken aback by that. I mean, I do like the Killers. And then there's I heard the Eddie Argos story about them,
Yeah, he told it on here. Yeah.
where, oh, did he tell it on here? Did he?
Where he's going up to them saying, "Are you the killers?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and then say no, it's an honest mistake.
Like, maybe the amount of times people, because that is like that's their most well-known song,
Yeah.
and the amount of people that have come up to me and gone like, or like tried to reply in tweets, "Oh, it was an honest mistake." Like, yeah, good one, mate. Very good. They got other songs too.
Well, I was gonna say I have jumped to I've jumped to their defense a few times because at one point I was like talking about one banger wonders of like this indie era, and a few people said Bravery on his mistake, but I was like, no, Unconditional is a great song as well.
Unconditional is phenomenal. Featured on Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, on the PS2.
I'm
Yeah,
sure there's
I mean,
more songs than that, but I remember thinking,
yeah,
oh, they've got at least 2 brilliant songs. Yeah.
Fearless is a great one. They filmed that on their speedboat. They're all on speedboats, so that's a great song. There's Public Service Announcement, Swollen Summer, which was featured on the 2009 film Yes Man, starring Jim Carrey. Give In, that's a great one. Yeah, there's, and even the second one, Believe, is an absolute tune. There's Time Won't Let Me Go is probably my favorite song. That is one of, I genuinely think it's one of, even The Ocean as well. The Ocean is the closing track, and that's some of the best lyrics ever in that. I mean, it's not something you can dance to, it's something that you'd probably cry to, but still, I think they've got certified bangers, especially like, I mean, like for me, one hit, I don't know, like Jolene and the Jin Jan Jong never released an album, did they?
Yeah, might not have done. Yeah, they were in my top 10 list. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say they're probably, which I didn't know. Sidetrack is the guy who plays Sophie's brother in the Peep Show.
Yeah. He's
Madness.
also in Nathan Barley as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. But yeah, even the third album, to be fair, no, but there's some box on that. Adored the title track. The lead off track is phenomenal. Song for Jacob is amazing. The Spectator, Sugar Pill. There's some that album's really good as well. I emailed the artist for the album on the latest one, and I was like, "Oh, did you get to meet them?" And she went, "No, I'd never got to meet them." Oh, what a waste of time. But yeah, I agree, mate. I think they've got absolute bangers, and I think the Killers comparison. I think Brandon Flowers did come out a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I didn't mean any of it." I think that's sort of.
Where did that come from? Were they from the same place or something?
I think it was from the NME, like years when probably the Killers first started. Definitely they released Hot Fuss, maybe sort of 2005-ish, and then I think he was interviewed again a couple of years ago by the NME, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't mean that." But I don't think the Bravery have commented on it, or I don't think they've sort of like acknowledged comparisons to the Killers. I think the problem is that there's a keyboard in Somebody Told Me, and there's a keyboard in An Honest Mistake, and they've kind of just compared the two. Although they are both influenced by like British bands. Bravery are like heavily like U2, definitely I'd say probably #1 influence for them. But yeah, certified bangers. Certified bangers.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to listen to the albums now. You've got me intrigued. So it says Sam. Has he gone on to the other music or not really?
So Sam, when they went on hiatus, Sam joined a band called the Mercy Beats, who I've not really heard a lot of. However, he is responsible for. I think he wrote a song with Santigold. And he also is responsible for writing She Wolf by Shakira. So
wow, so he's got that songwriting credit.
Yeah.
They surely can just live on that, maybe.
That's amazing. You're living off the Shakira millions.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mad.
And that is a tune as well.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I think Anthony the drummer went on to play with Morrissey for a bit. Maybe Weezer. I don't know. Mike obviously did his own stuff. I don't know what Michael did. And then John Conway, like his family run a vineyard or something like that. And he's like, follow him on Instagram. He goes on his motorbike and goes on his he's got like a little boat and stuff. He's got a lovely life. Which is, I'm going to be like sort of now every so often he goes and plays keyboard with the Bravery. But yeah, I think Sam's probably the one who went. And then he married Halsey's manager.
All right.
Don't know if they're still together. But yeah, they got married. And then, yeah. So I don't think to be fair, that's a very good point. I don't think, I think, what's a comparison I can make? Do you know Pete and the Pirates?
Yeah.
And then they went on to form Telemann.
Yeah, I only realised that quite recently because I really like Telemann.
Oh, they're great, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I thought that it'd be something like they break off and maybe do something else, but Nova just kind of sort of bumbled a little bit, and then like out of the blue as well, just like, hey, it's been a long time, we're going to come back and reform.
Yeah.
They're a bit of a weird anomaly in that indie world, I think. Kind of like a lot of bands came and went, but I think they were very just boom, we're here, and then. But then a lot of their songs are featured on adverts and in movies and TV shows, so there's obviously there's an impact.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's maybe the way to do it. Like a lot of bands, well, not a lot of bands, but like I started this podcast with Tom from the Paddingtons.
Oh wow!
They had their first album out in 2005, and then didn't follow up quickly enough really to capitalize. And like I think second album ended up coming out in like 2007. And like in hindsight, they kind of missed the boat a bit when things started to go a bit new ravey or whatever. So I think it's a way to do it, is just to like fire them out. Like the Strokes did that as well, didn't they? To be fair, first two at least.
Yeah, a lot of bands seem to capitalize on that momentum before it was kind of too late. And then I think afterwards, it was kind of like I really like White Lies.
Yeah.
but that debut album, even though it came around, that seems a somewhat departure from it. There's not a lot of jangly guitars in that, I don't think. It's all very kind of synth driven and sounds a bit like Joy Division-esque.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really into them, yeah, because they're one of those bands where the demos were almost you'd already like got really used to the songs from the demos before the album came out. Like similar to Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Like
See,
the songs had the most energy in the demos, really.
that's a mad thing as well. Is I'd say the Bravery are probably like victim to like the MySpace thing as well, where like a lot of the buzz was online, and I was never really around for that. Like I was never allowed MSN, but by the time I got like a Facebook account, that had all kind of died down a bit. I think it was. I'd love to have been there to sort of capture that sort of feeling of just releasing the songs online and stuff and blowing up. That must have been amazing.
Yeah, I suppose Spotify coming in just killed all that, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
now you get
interesting.
paid sort of 2 pence per play or something, or not even that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was having this debate on Twitter recently about ticket prices, whether they're justified. I think, average big band now is 50 quid plus.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can justify it. It's just a bit mad, isn't it? Like Liam Gallagher's charging 75 quid for his new tour, I think, with John Squire, which seems insane.
That always puts a price point on me to be like, how much, yeah, like how much do you like them enough to justify? Like, there's people I'd reserve that for. Like, I don't know. It'd be probably a thing to say, like, I don't know, Billy Joel before he dies or something, or like someone like that. But yeah, I don't think
Would you pay
Alan.
that for the bravery?
Oh man, I'd pay anything. I said this to my fiance. I said, if when they announce a UK tour, I will be going to every date. And
Well,
you've got.
genuinely.
Oh mate, I would
No,
100%
that's
would.
to be fair. I'm looking
But
forward to it now.
I'm kind of living in a time capsule there because like I'm looking on eBay and trying to buy all their posters and stuff from like 2005, and they've got guitar picks and stickers and all sorts. So yeah, I'm trying to save for a wedding as well. But I don't. You tell me what's more important, mate.
Try and get into play.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Yes, that would be amazing. That would be
Yeah.
fantastic. Although I did tweet. Oh, that's a good. I did tweet this to Ivo Graham, and he said an honest mistake at a wedding would be quite controversial. Would be quite a controversial choice.
Yeah. It'd be like good PR in this day and age with social media.
That's the NME would have a riot.
Yeah, it'd be a
An
good laugh,
absolute
that.
riot. That's the thing I wanted to ask you. What do you make of like the kind of criticism of this era? Because a lot of people would probably criticize the Bravery, and they were kind of on those lists of like the ten best bands who are about to set the world on fire. And a lot of music did come out, and the term indie landfill does get bandied about. But like I remember the NME did quite a disparaging article on like where are these bands now, and like they tried to poke fun at the fact that the guy from the Rakes was like working in IT. I was like, but he looks really happy.
Yeah, there seemed to be a point where it was they built these bands up to be cool, and there's a certain point where they just turned on them.
Yeah,
I think when it was like, there's like the the group around Pete Doherty and stuff, it just became easy to vilify them, I think. And like, yeah, the term indie landfill, whenever that came in, yeah, I think NME just piled on. It's
I
strange.
remember. I remember when Ricky Wilson had a show on Radio X, needed a segment called Indie Landfill. And I was like, mate, you were part of that. You and he was trying to put Igloo in the Hearty in there. I was like, mate, who you got? Come on, Ricky.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
bit weird.
it's bonkers. Yeah. And I think a lot of it gets bashed maybe like lyrically as well, or like a lot of people think like what's the word I'm looking for? Derivative of bands who made it big, like I remember someone saying like for every Arctic Monkeys there was a Little Man, but like I quite like Little Man Tate. Things are going well and it's quite an occasion. It's Winner Stays On the Sony PlayStation. I can relate to that a lot as someone who didn't get invited to many house parties. Milburn. I mean, we could just list. So, that episode of
Yeah.
Alan Partridge where this is great, even though we all just listing naughty band.
But I think it happens with every big scene over the years. You get that first wave, and then you get more derivative second wave.
Yeah, and then after that, people sort of realize and go, "Oh, we should probably do something a bit." That's a really good point of like, not to use Arctic Monkeys as the analogy, but like favorite worst nightmare feels like a kind of addendum to the debut, even though it sounds a little bit different. But then Humbug is like a complete departure from, and that's probably like the era where I was like kind of my moment there. So like Foals, even though they'd released the first album before I was sort of in high school, and like that second White Lies album, Ritual, is amazing. But yeah, Miles Kane as well. He's from the Wirral, actually. Miles Kane from Port Sunlight.
Yeah,
But it's just a shame that the Bravery never. Like I feel again, like I've not seen them live, and I feel like I kind of, although I was a fan of them, kind of caught them just as they were on the way out, sadly. But they've lived on throughout my. I mean, I think I'm in their top 0.1% or something on Spotify,
yeah.
which sounds very stalkerish.
Is there have they got like a Reddit page where there's like
No,
fans
I
community or
think they,
something?
I think they did, but nothing's been posted on. I don't think anything's been posted on there since the height. I don't even think the reunion thing's been posted on there.
All right.
I think there's a lot of forums on Reddit where it's like remember these kind of thing, and they kind of get wheeled out. But yeah, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should start up a Bravery Reddit or something. I've got a T-shirt as well, but I've still got to move close to my mum and dad's house. But yeah, I should have worn that. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. But yeah, Reddit forums probably the way to go. And
Yeah,
then they've got no other option than to invite me into the band after that.
yeah. I'll definitely keep an eye on that. I am interested in your comedy there. So, like, what age did you get into that?
Ooh, probably around about. I did a trial gig when I was 16, no 15, but was like massively a fan and a nerd of it. Growing up, I think everyone in the north kind of had Peter Kay and Bolton Albert Halls on VHS, Phoenix Nights on VHS. That was kind of or DVD, so that was kind of difficult to. I kind of had a chokehold on the comedy world at that point. Peter Kay, he was in every household, so that was like massively influential. Like remember watching like sort of Mr. Bean with now, just like really bonkers stuff, but finding it funny. And then someone at my school volunteered at the local church, and they were going to put a fundraiser on. And I, as a joke, was like, "Oh yeah, I'll come down and tell some jokes," despite having no prior experience. I mean, I'd been in a band, but I'd not like that. I think that's completely different from sort of like trying to make people laugh. So I did some jokes, but I didn't know what to do. So what I did was in front of about 100 devout Christians, is I came on and went, "Hey guys, yeah, I've not brought any material with me. So what I've brought instead," and I pulled out like a big pack of like a family pack of Penguin bars, and I went, "But the good guys at Penguin, I'm going to read out a joke, and if you find it funny, that's great. If not, you can have the Penguin as a little treat." And I did that for about 5 minutes, and it just died on its arse. And then I did some sort of ham-fisted stuff about where I lived on the Wirral. And then after the gig, the the vicar came up to me and she went, "I don't think the man upstairs was too pleased with that performance."
Wowzers.
And I went, "Huh?" And she went, "Oh Lord."
What?
Right. So God's
Why
not
did he
gonna
say
have it.
something blasphemous or something?
No, I think I was just awful. I think they were expecting, I don't know, at least some rehearsal or You know, I didn't even, you know, break out into an emergency hymn or anything. I didn't do any of that. But yeah, that when Christ isn't a fan, maybe it's time to rethink.
And that somehow gave you the bug for comedy.
Yeah, and then I thought, well, I enjoyed doing that, and then I did another gig at like a proper club when I was 16, and I loved that. And then I didn't gig because I was still like doing my A levels. But for my A level, you could take a course called Extended Project, where you could kind of just set out a thesis and carry it through. So I was like, okay, what if I put on like a stand-up comedy performance, sort of set it out like one. Did it at the drama studio in the school. Did 45 minutes, which is like
Wow.
morally abhorrent. Like no one does that when they first start out. I didn't know that. In front of like friends and family, did 45 minutes. That was better than the gig at the church.
Is that hard work?
Oh mate, yeah. Do you know what it was? But I kind of had a little bit of a theme because I was leaving sixth form that year. So I was like, let's sort of look back. I did each year and sort of broke down each year of high school and just told stories based on that. I did a joke. Are you a Hull fan?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh mate, I did this awful joke about Hull City.
Right.
And I said, mate, this is terrible. I do apologise to all your listeners. The one thing
Where were we telling this joke?
This was at the in front of friends and family.
Well, what's in the Wirral?
Yeah, it's at my high school drama studio.
Okay, right.
I know, like, I listened to the Ryan Needham episode today, and he was like, "Oh yeah, me and James from Yard Act listen to this. If they listen to this episode, guys, I am so sorry." But yeah, so I went, Hull City are changing their name to Hull City Tigers. What's all that about? In a very Seinfeld way, what's all that about? I said, number one, they play in black and orange. They're nicknamed the Tigers, and there's a tiger on the badge. What's next, guys? Is Tony the Tiger from the Frosties advert's going to come down and go, Hull City there, about mid-table? And it absolutely like died on its arse.
Really, that's quite funny to be fair.
Yeah. And yeah, I cringe at cringe at the very thought of that. It was
Yes. Who do you support then?
I support Liverpool. There's a weird, like, the Wirral is kind of a obscure place in that regard, where you're kind of mixed in with Chester and Liverpool, and also like it's kind
of in that area.
Yeah, Tranmere Rovers. I probably should support them. They're probably locally, and I've been to a couple of games. I think the Libertines played there a couple of years ago with
Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
Reverend
and the Makers were there as well, who I went to see with my mum. My mum loves Reverend and the Makers.
What had that before?
Oh mate, it was great. Manchester Academy was booming.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you kind of mixed in with like you have like Liverpool, Everton, United. Some good music from the world though. Obviously the Coral, Bill Ryder Jones from the Coral, his solo stuff's great. There's a great band in the minute I went to see called the Hooton Tennis Club. I've been a fan of them for ages. They're really good.
I'll have a look at them.
Yeah,
because Bill Ryder Jones, Swim Deep.
Yeah.
He's produced their new album apparently.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that should be interesting. And I've seen a lot of people going pretty wild for his new album, Bill Ryder Jones, as well.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah, it's really good. He said it's the first one I've written that's happy.
Okay, right.
I think the past couple were a bit sort of not as happy, but I really love them. This A Bad Wind Blows in My Heart, the second one. Oh, some amazing songs in there. And West Kirby County Primary, I think. I went to see him live on that tour, and that was amazing. And then I went to see Yard Act last year with a mate of mine who was like a music journalist, and we went to see Yard Act at this venue in Liverpool, and Bill Ryder Jones was there, and we went into the back of the gig, to like a sort of garden, and is it Sam, the guitarist from Yarda?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Don't know. He was there, and I was like, bloody hell, Sam. And then Bill Ryder Jones was there, and I was proper. If Sam Endicott from the Bravery had been there, I'd have lost my mind. But I had a chat with the guitarist from Yard Act, and he was like really lovely because I thought, oh God, don't approach him. And he was lovely, like asked lots of questions and stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And then I went up to Bill Ryder Jones and went, I'm really sorry to bother you, Bill, but I'm a really big fan. Your music has like helped me over the years, and I just think you're amazing. Just wanted to come over and say thank you. And he came up to me and he went, mate, are you a hugger? And I went, yeah. And then he gave me like a big hug and kissed me on the cheek. And I was like, yes, yes. He didn't stop going on about it for ages. Amazing night.
Quality.
But yeah, the Wirral's not bad for music, and obviously like Liverpool as well. That sort of 90s sort of era with Cast and that, and then you've got the Zootons obviously in the noughties. But they've come back, haven't they? The Zootons, they're sort of.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that. Yeah.
I got very excited when I saw Hardfire were touring the other day as well.
Yeah. I tried to get them on, but I had no reply. But yeah.
Oh mate, hard to beat. That's the thing. There's so many. But then like you think of another one, you're like, oh my God, Hardfire, yeah.
Oh well, and Bromwich Jacket have reformed.
Oh, what if some maybes?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go to that. Doing a couple of gigs in Leeds, I think.
Did they do that song called like Poppy Bird or so? Oh,
Yeah, Poppy Bird and
yeah.
Woolly Bridge.
Yeah.
Well, I actually drove past Woolly Bridge recently. I was loving it.
I'd I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see Friendly. I know Friendly Fires came back, but they did. I think I was like out of the country when they were in Manchester. That's annoying as well because like they don't really do a lot. Some bands just tend to avoid the north, or will kind of do like Manchester and that's it. Maybe if they're a bit big. And I think Friendly Fires did. I think they only did like Leeds or Manchester. I was gutted, and I couldn't make the Manchester one. They're great as well. Pay to see them. A lot of my music, to be fair, a lot of music, not sure I've noticed, is influenced as well by like the In-Betweener soundtrack is phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's so
yeah.
much indie in that. The lady who assembled the playlist worked for Radio X, I think. I don't know if she still does, but
All right.
yeah, there's some great ones on that. LCD Sound System as well. I think I paid like 70 quid to see them.
Where was that?
That was at Victoria. Have you ever been to Victoria Warehouse in Manchester?
Okay. I don't. Have I been to it? I think I went to it when it was something else. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It is a nightclub, and I didn't realize that they didn't come on until midnight,
All right.
and they didn't finish till 2. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Jeez.
I'd work the next morning as well. I was like, Christ.
That's a bit much.
Took it out of me a bit. I was like, oh, but yeah, they're great. There's just so much, isn't it? Like, I mean, I know I've come on here to talk about the Bravery, and they are amazing. They're my favorite band, but there's just so much like Meeting in the Bathroom. Have you read that or seen the documentary?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, done both. Yeah.
It's
Really
great, isn't
interesting.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That period in New York as well is amazing.
That's it. Yeah. Had Luke on from the Rapture at one point, which
No
is pretty
way.
fascinating. I think I'd really like to see him write a book because he's had a mad life.
Has it? What?
Yeah.
Just in
He's
terms of
like
music.
his upbringing was pretty wild and stuff like that. So be interesting. Yeah, he's a life coach now, I think.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Oh, awesome.
But in terms of new music, like what's your source of that these days?
Um, Good question. To be fair, I don't know. I don't really know. Like, it's difficult because when I was younger, I mean, this is like Kerrang TV has gone, and I remember I used to watch NME TV back in the day,
Yeah.
and that would be the source of most things. To be fair, and like MTV Rocks as well. Do you remember like Gonzo was Zane Lowe,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
brilliant. Yeah.
Gonzo with Alexa Chung as well was amazing. And
I've looked for a few. Some of it's on YouTube, and like there's so many like random bands that just like you never heard of again.
the Russell Howard episode of that I remember being great because I discovered the Walkman through him, and he was banging on this band called the Walkman. I was like, oh, I'll check them out, and then I really like them. Yeah, I don't know really. Just kind of through. It probably is through Spotify. I do have a look at like the release radar, and then it kind
Yeah,
of does.
yeah.
It does sort of drip feed in things that like. For example, I can't remember how I discovered Yard Act. It might have been through Spotify, but I heard Fixer Upper, and I was hooked from like minute one. I think that. But listen to that, I was like, oh, that's the band I'd want to be in. Like, they're great. That song "Tall Poppies" off the first album is one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard. Like, it sounds like about 20 people I went to school with. That sort of story he tells. It's amazing. The Chats, I like the Chats. Have you heard of them?
No, I don't think so.
They're kind of like an Australian punk band. They're really good. They've got a song about just wanting to go to the pub and have a meal, but it's really good.
So
Who
you don't
else
listen to like Radio 6 much or anything?
I do, to be fair, but I don't sort of like. I don't like sit down and sort of dedicate
Yeah,
the
I know what you
time,
mean.
which I probably should do. I have it on in the car, and I have it on if I'm like cooking. But I should probably sit down and like. I listened to the one I listened to last was what's it? Huey E. Morgan did one on like Jay Dilla. That was good, but then that's not new music, obviously. But yeah, I probably should through Six Music, and then yeah. To be fair, Spotify it's a shame really because it's kind of double-edged sword. Spotify like it is introducing me to this new music, but like you're not paying them, are you? I like a band called Do Nothing as well.
Okay, I think I might have heard of them. I don't know.
They've got a song called LeBron James, which is good. Is it Modern County? Home Counties? Might be a band called Home Counties. They've got a good song called Modern Yuppies. That's good. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it's just kind of like a rotating playlist of mid-noughties stuff.
Hmm.
And then yeah, sort of newer stuff. Like, I know I've mentioned them, but Yard Act are phenomenal. I generally think they're like the best bands I've heard in like the past 10 years. But
Yeah,
I've got
fair.
like a kind of indie playlist that I've sort of started from like 2012 up to now. And if I do hear something do you know what FIFA is? I was speaking to my mate the other day. FIFA is a really good example of like following music trends, I think.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a good time capsule you can sort of pinpoint where you are at certain points, I think, with sort of the FIFA soundtrack.
Yeah, some real nostalgic songs from that. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend, me and my mate we do a football podcast. We're gonna try and put on like a FIFA disco, I think, or like a kind of FIFA bangers club night or something in Liverpool.
Yeah. I was going to
Um,
ask about your podcast. Yeah, what, you got a couple?
yeah, so I do. The main one I do is my mate Theon. It's called Culture Ultras, and we were kind of sick and tired of. We're kind of sick and tired of the way sort of football is headed in a sense that a lot of people are kind of being priced out to say controversial things or saying maybe contrary takes they don't believe in. And football is kind of it's kind of in an absolutist form now. I think it's kind of like if you're not Mbappe or you're not Haaland, you're rubbish. And me and my mate just wanted to create a podcast where the synopsis was listing Wigan Athletic players from 2006 for 3 hours. And that is sometimes what it is. It is just sort of going back and forth like tennis, listing sort of players from the 2000s. So yeah, we just kind of wanted it to bring back that enjoyment of kind of, oh, do you remember, I don't know, Giovanni at Hull, for example?
My favorite
uh,
ever Hull player.
yeah, oh, he's great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or like Tom Huddleston or something like that. So yeah, and then we've gotten some decent guests on as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a lady on, Bethany Clemency. She's great. She runs the female supporters group for Sheffield Wednesday as a DJ, and she's doing like a sort of 10-tier challenge. That was amazing. We've had journalists from like Georgia and Serbia come on, and
Yes.
Who else have we had on? We had a guy who's sort of traveling the world, and then he's going to play like a game of football in every country he's in. Yeah, we've Carlton Palmer followed us the other day, so we're going to try and speak
Really?
Carlton Palmer. And who else? Yeah. Oh,
What's it?
John
What's
Stiff.
kind of like what's your angle when you've got guests on then?
I think I think it is just chatting about what their expertise is in.
Right.
So normally it's like a fan of a club, but we'll never say like, "Oh, what do you think? How do you think they should have set up at the weekend?" I don't want to talk about that.
Hmm.
Really tactically or sort of opinion or prediction, I'm really not interested in that. And there's enough out there that sort of covers that. I just want to chat to you about what's the worst pie you've had, what's like the funniest thing that's happened when you're on an away day, stuff like that. Just sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things I think that a lot of fans can relate to. And I think something that probably people might be sort of crying out for. Like I say, like I don't know, sort of FIFA's ruined a lot of football in a way due to sort of getting children to pay lots of money for cards that have stats on them that then get. I was saying this the other day. My cousins would never be able to appreciate like a sort of Andrea Pirlo in swinging pass or a Steven Gerrard in swinger, but they'll have Mbappe in the team just because he's fast. And don't get me wrong, Mbappe is an incredible player, but like that shouldn't mean that you should disregard, I don't know, someone like Maldini just because he defended. Do you know what I mean? Like I think there's a I don't like the way it's headed where it's you're either one thing, you're either like team Mbappe or team Haaland, whereas I want to be sort of team Jason Kumas.
Good player.
And yeah, he was great. And listen to the Bravery as well while I'm at it.
And then just in terms of your comedy, then what point are you at now? Like how long's your set and stuff like that?
So I'm probably kind of like at the in layman's term. Oh, I don't know if there's a layman's. Kind of like I describe comedy as maybe an apprenticeship. I've heard a couple of people explain it like that, where you just kind of chip away and chip away. So you kind of start off not doing gigs for pretty much no money, and then a little bit of money, and then it sort of incrementally builds. So I'm kind of breaking into paid work just about now.
Excellent.
So, but middle spots. So like the act in between the opener and the closer, I'd say is what I'm kind of, or at least definitely trying to break into at the minute. But then I don't think much like most. I don't think stand up is like the main thing. I mean, it's a great thing to do, and it's you know, I don't think it's enough in order to still. I don't know. A lot of comedians have podcasts, or they write for shows, or they act and stuff as well. So yeah, I think you've got to be kind of multifaceted.
Yeah, yeah. And you're doing a lot of traveling with it.
Yeah, it's like I drove to Newcastle yesterday.
That's mad from Wrexham. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I had a mad. So normally I'd get the train or and stay over, but then like I was like financially now that's like mad, and I was like you
I was
just
gonna
got
say,
to
do people cover that or do you have to fork out?
It depends really. Some do, some don't, but then that's another thing you rely on is like you are your own boss basically. But I thought, you know what, just pluck up the courage, just drive. It was 3.5 hours each way. Didn't stop once. It was great. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'd do it again.
Yes.
That was kind of, and I'd sort of always feared that for a little bit. I'd always feared oh bloody hell, I don't know how to get to like bloody Nottingham. Whereas like now I feel a bit more, oh cool, it's fine. Don't need to worry about it. Stick a podcast on, you sound.
Yeah, yeah. And what are the nerves like? You get
Um
used to it.
yeah, so first couple was terrified. And I still get pretty scared if like I did Latitude in 2018
Wow, yes.
and that was a proper like, oh fuck. Like sorry for swearing.
No, no, it's all good.
That was a proper like, oh god, this is they're all there. And Latitude's a great festival because they do book great bands, but people go there for all sorts. I never thought that. Like, I was like, comedy. I remember I went to Leeds Festival in 2014 when I was in sixth form, and I had a comedy tent on. I was like, no one's gonna watch that, surely. Like, no one's gonna. And
I
when I
wouldn't
did it,
fancy playing Leeds and Reading. Well, I wouldn't fancy playing Leeds as a comic comedian.
no, I knew someone who got an art. He performed at Leeds, and then he got to meet Ryan Jarman. I was there. I was like, oh no way. Um, but yeah, I think the Midnight Beast were on. Do you remember them? They were very popular.
I think I remember the name, yeah.
Midnight Beast. Anyway, Latitude, they're there for everything, so it was great, and they were very attentive. Like it was amazing. It was like it was a gig, obviously, but it felt like I was doing a club. Like it was amazing for an outdoor gig. It was really cool. I was also in a line for a sandwich behind Adam Buxton and Richard Aguardi, and I was like, "This is mental, absolutely mental." Because even though I'd gotten that gig through being in the final of a competition, and that was part of the prize, was you get to
Ah,
be there,
nice one.
but you're kind of bundled in with everyone. So it was like, oh my goodness, like I'm really low down on the pecking order, but like I'm an inch away from Richard Iwani.
That's nice.
But I didn't speak to him. But yeah, sort of big gigs, I do get very like, oh god. But then you just kind of, not to sound preachy, but you're able to just use that and go, it's going to be fine. And it does
Hmm.
fly by. It does fly, especially if you're doing like 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. What advice would you give to someone trying to like write a stand-up set?
Right. So I would say, please, like, follow your own voice. I wouldn't adhere to things that you think people want you to joke about. I think it's very important to have your own voice and be original. Gig as much as you can. Don't worry about traveling. Yeah, there'll be train strikes. Yeah, there'll be road closures, but it'll be worth it in the end, and you'll probably get something out of it in the long run.
Is it one of those things where you learn quite a lot each time you do it?
Yeah, do you know what? I've seen this with my friend and I. It was a couple of years in. It's mad because like you can share a green room in most jobs. Like the head of the company, you will never see. So like you don't really get to see your progression. Like whereas in comedy, you can be like a foot away in the green room from a headliner, and yet there's years of experience that sets you apart. So it's mad to be in like, but you learn so much. Like everyone I've met pretty much, or 90% of people have been really like lovely and gave great advice and stuff. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's a mad industry.
No, it's interesting because I listen to Chatterbix,
Oh yeah,
so I get like insights into like their stand-up life and other comedians that come on. It's quite fascinating because like my only like kind of experience like that is doing a best man speech, and like it it didn't go particularly well, and like it's mad the hindsight you get straight away. It's like, oh, obviously I shouldn't have done that.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can see straight away afterwards, like, oh, I know how I deal with it now. It's strange.
But at least like what I will say is to put you at ease. I'm getting married in July, and my groomsmen are stand-ups. My best man is a stand-up.
Wow, all right, okay.
So there's a lot of pressure on me and my best man to be like, well,
To
here
absolutely
we go.
kill it.
This better be good.
Yeah, yeah.
I am actually terrified. That's probably the most nervous I'm going to be. That is going to be my worst gig, I reckon.
Well, it's definitely the pressure's on your best man.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because he's got to toe a fine line, hasn't he? Of what
You've
you
got an
can.
excuse to be sensible where he's
Yeah,
got to absolutely kill it.
yeah. Got to reveal embarrassing stories about me, and then the bravery gets to come on afterwards. Hopefully,
Yeah,
fingers
yeah.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
Well, that's a great finishing point, to be fair, but I'll definitely keep an eye on your stuff. Like when you play in Manchester, I'll come watch you and stuff.
Oh, cool, man. Do you live in Manchester? Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sweet. I went to uni in Salford.
Okay.
It's a great city. I'd love to live there. Well, it's a great city, Manchester.
Yeah, I've been here about 5 years now, which is mad.
There
But
was
yeah.
have you ever been to Night and Day Cafe?
Nah, I'm not sure if I've actually been. I've just
Oh,
heard a lot about it.
there was a great they used to do great nights there that were like themed. So they used to do like LCD sound system nights and hot chip nights and stuff.
Okay.
I never went to any of them because I was too scared to go on my own at uni. But yeah, it's really good at like everything they do in Manchester is amazing.
No, yeah, I'm enjoying it. kind of integrate myself more and more. So
And
yeah,
well, you say you're a Hull City, you're a Hull fan.
yeah, like in like a in the loose way these days. I don't go to many games. I used to be like bang into it.
I say we'll get you on the pod if you want. If you want to chat
Yeah, why not? I'd be up for that.
all things Humberside.
Yeah. But
Yeah, and
I can talk about off the pitch stuff all day, or like the old days. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that'd be sick. And then hopefully, a year's time, the Bravery have a gig.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, we can all be there.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. All right, spot on, mate. Cheers for jumping on.
Oh, Harry, thanks very much for having me. This has been a proper bucket list, no hyperbole, really dream thing. This and I think what you're doing is amazing. So yeah, please keep it up. It's great.
Cheers, mate. Nice one, yeah. I'll definitely keep an eye on your stuff as well. So
Oh,
let's
thank you,
keep
man.
going.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
All right, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very
See
much.
ya.
Thank you.